Hi there everyone, hope you're well and welcome to this week's live stream guitar lesson. Apologies, I think I might have just cut the jingle off a little bit early there with my trigger happy finger, but there we go. So yeah, hope you're all well and obviously we're going to continue on with GuitarQuest 4 this week. Before we get stuck into any of that, a couple of things to think about. So if you're on a device that has notifications pinging away, emails, social media, that kind of thing, then please, if you can, turn those off. Let's have our undivided guitar time. If there's any kids watching, then have an adult in the room just to help explain some of the ideas. And that's pretty much it, I think. Oh, and the chat. So the chat's there, so if you've got any questions, please do ask. Or if you're watching this back and it's not live, then please post under the video and I will get back to you. But let's start with our tuning then. So this is our 6th string, so let's move it around a little bit. So remember, you want it to sound the same as this. Okay, and then we're going to go for A, but remembering we're tuning, or attempting to tune a bit by ear, or at least this is how you would do it. So you tune the 6th string 5th fret, and that's our open A, should sound the same. So that's the correct note, that's the open string, so you would just adjust that if you needed to. Then when you're happy with that, you go to the 5th string 5th fret, that's the note D. So that should sound, or the 4th string should sound the same as that. So again, play that, have a listen to the open 4th string. Does it feel like it needs to go up or down a little bit? Obviously I've tuned my guitar before we started, but you know, this is just kind of going over it. So hopefully by doing this every week for the next few weeks, then everything will kind of make sense really. So okay, so after that we go to the 4th string 5th fret, that's our G, this is the correct note. So we play that, then we've got the open 3rd string, so just adjust that until it sounds the same. This is the only one that's different then, so we go on the G, we go up to the 4th fret, that gives us the note B, which is our what our open 2nd string should be. So again, we're going to assume the 3rd string 4th fret is correct, and then the open 2nd string, we adjust that until it sounds the same. And then once we're happy, we go back to the 5th fret on the 2nd string, and that's our E note, that's the correct note. So you listen to the open E, does it sound the same, and then just adjust accordingly. It can be worth using a tuner as well, you know, to see how close you can get by ear, and then check it against the tuner and see how you got on. You know, it's not always as straightforward as it might seem, because particularly as you cross from string to string, you get slight sort of different characteristics and that with the string, because they're different thicknesses, I think, and you know, on this type of guitar you've got steel strings and nylon strings, so they just have a slightly different character. So yeah, but worth developing the ear side of things. So once you've done that, you just want to strum a couple of chords, or a few chords, so say like an E minor for example, and you strum it and just try and listen. Does it all sound right? You know, whatever chords you know and feel comfortable with, you know, it really doesn't matter. But what you're trying to do is listen out, does it sound right? And if something sounds a little bit jarring for some reason, then just go back and check the strings again, because it could be, if you've not compared it to the tuner, that maybe one of them was just a little bit out, or maybe a guitar is not quite as in tune with itself as it should be, and that kind of thing. So you just try and compensate. Ultimately, it's our playing that we want to make sound good, not the tuning, if that makes sense. So if you tune it, you think you got it perfect, and then you strum a G chord and go, it just doesn't quite sound right, make the G chord sound right, because that's what you're going to be playing, or you know, if you're playing that. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense. Quick reminder as well then, just in terms of posture, try not to let that guitar angle away, try and keep it nice and upright. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So we're going to kick off with this sort of warm-up idea that we've been doing for the last few weeks now, whereby we're going to play 4 crotchets, 8 quavers, and then 16 semiquavers. Just a nice sort of slowish kind of tempo, so nothing too fast, hopefully. And today let's try it on the second string. So we'll do the second string to begin with, and then we'll have a go at the third string as well. So if I just demonstrate, so we'll be starting kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our crotchets. Then we go to quavers, and then semiquavers. Okay, so that's what we're going to attempt. So just on the open B string. Okay, after 4. Okay, so 3, 4. Crotchets, quavers, semiquavers, and then you could repeat and go around in circles. We're going to try it again. We're going to go on the G string this time. It's our third string. Remember, if you want to use words to help with it, you could say tea, tea, coffee and caterpillar. So I'll just demonstrate. So you could go T, 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 then coffee, 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 and caterpillar, 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 caterpillar. So if you like using words, that's a good one to try. So yeah, let's give it a go. So starting on the G then, after 4. Okay, so 3, 4. So it's T, 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 coffees, coffee, coffee, and then semiquavers, caterpillar, 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 and then stop. So yeah, that's a good kind of warm up. Obviously, that's more for the right hand or whichever hand you're plucking the strings with. And yeah, it just kind of helps get that sense of timing. So that's a good one to kick off with. But what we're going to do now is move on to exercise 2, Friday Blues. So we've played this a few times over the last couple of weeks. So we're going to go through it again today in its entirety, which includes the repeat. So you've got all 4 lines played twice. I'm not going to go over it in any more detail now. If you're unsure about it, I would suggest to go back and watch the last couple of weeks worth of lessons where we talk about it in a bit more detail. But yeah, let's take it away. So we're going to go from the beginning all the way through and then repeat and do the whole thing again. Okay, so just nice and slow. Let's just demonstrate quickly. We're going to go this kind of speed, like. So yeah, that's what we're going to attempt anyway. So here we go. After 4. Okay, so 3, 4, and. last line. And then the final bar. Okay, cool. So that was Friday Blues, and a lesson to myself in there as well. So first time round, I just lost my concentration, started thinking about something else. So yeah, it was kind of like, right, get back in the zone. You know, it's easy to do at times. You know, just let that mind wander, and what we've got to do is try and stay focused. It's a strange kind of mental place to be in, I think, because you're not thinking about the music too much. Because if you're thinking too much about it, then you're probably going to lose your place and that kind of thing. So you're sort of thinking ahead, but you kind of can't think too far ahead because you'll forget what you're doing at the time. So yeah, it's just trying to find that sweet spot, I suppose, where you're just in the zone and you're just doing it. So so yeah, if you manage to play through it all, then very well done. Give yourself a pat on the back. And we are going to have a go at exercise 3, which is called park bench. Again, we talked about this one last week, so we'll talk about it a little bit today, but the main context of the tune is, you know, we discussed it last week. So, but yeah, the things to watch out for then with number 3. So we're in 4/4 timing, so it's our usual kind of time signature. And all our Fs are played as F sharp. So the only F sharps are going to be, rather than first string, first fret for the F, it's going to be the second fret for the F sharp. So we haven't got any, oh I say that actually, we've got an F sharp as well in bar 6. We come down to the 6th string at the 2nd fret, so watch out for that one. Other than that, it's just going to be mainly about the timing of the semiquavers. So if I just demonstrate the first bar, we're going 1, 2, 3, 4. So you've got the first note, which actually is a semi-breather, so we're going to try and let that last for the whole bar. But really, in terms of counting it, that's beat 1. So it's 1, then we've got 4 notes on beat 2, then beat 3, just the 2 notes, and then 1 note on beat 4. So kind of how fast you're playing the notes and things is changing, and I think in a way that's what sort of makes this one a bit more tricky. But you know, that's just my thoughts on it. So if you let me know what you think, it'd be interesting to hear. So so yeah, so we've got this kind of idea: bottom E, E, F sharp, G, G, E, D, E there. So second bar, much the same. Nothing on beat 4, and then we've got the and, another F sharp there. Then we're going to go to the G, open strings, B, 5th string 2nd, up to the C, same open strings there, back to the B again, 5th string 2nd, back to the G, open strings, then our F sharp. And when we get to this bar, remember we're going to hold this F sharp down and also get our 3rd finger, so you can see that, onto the 3rd string at the 2nd fret. So we make almost like a mini chord shape. So if you notice yourself do this, and you lift that finger off, try not to, basically. So if you notice yourself doing it, try and make a mental note that you want to try and hold it down, because we want that sustain on the bass. And then it's largely just the same again as we repeat, and the last 2 bars are the same as the first one. So so let's give it a go. We'll take it nice and slow. I'll shout a few instructions out as we go. We'll see if you've got any questions, fire away in the chat, but otherwise yeah, let's just give it a go. So here we go, after 4. Good luck everyone. Okay, so 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second line. B, C. sharp here. Back to the beginning. Holding that G. Hold the C. Hold the G. Hold that F sharp. And then the final two bars. Okay, cool. So that is exercise 3, park bench. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you managed to keep playing along with it. As always, give yourself a pat on the back if you managed to. Always good to acknowledge the wins. If you didn't, you know, if you got lost or whatever, then there's a couple of things. So one is, obviously, it's going to need a little bit more practice. That is the nature of any kind of musical instrument, really. So practice makes perfect and all that. This video will get uploaded onto my YouTube channel, so you can go back to it and watch it. Maybe you can slow it down and play along with it if it was just a bit too fast. Or the backing tracks are all on my YouTube channel as well, so you can go to that particular bit and slow them down. And you know, with YouTube you can adjust them to like whatever speed you want, really. So yeah, have a play about with it, and hopefully it's all making sense and all good. So let's move on. So last week we skipped exercise 4 and looked at the F and F major 7 chords. So we're going to have a look at those first, and we're going to have a look at exercise 4 in just a minute. Now we only talked about these briefly last week, so we'll talk a little bit more detail. There's not a huge amount to say, unfortunately. F is just a challenging chord on guitar. There's not really any way around that, but there's a couple of, well, at least one thing I can think of that we can try that might make it a little bit easier. So we'll start with the F major 7 because that is the easier one. So for F major 7, you go your 3rd finger and to the 4th string 3rd fret, your middle finger 3rd string 2nd for the A, and your 1st finger goes on the C, 2nd string 1st fret. And then you keep the open 1st string, the E there, nice and clear. And then you strum from the 4th string, and hopefully you'll get that sound. F major 7's quite, dare I say, it's quite easy. You know, if you've played a few chords before, you know, and if you've been following the GuitarQuest course, we have played a few. So hopefully that one is okay. Even if it still takes a while to get into the shape, hopefully you can get all those notes nice and clear. So that's cool. The key thing is to avoid the 6th and the 5th strings. If you include those, you get a slightly different, particularly the E. It doesn't really. Technically, the notes are within the chord, I suppose, but we want F to be the lowest note, really. So so try and strum from the 4th string. So that's the F major 7. Now, when we go for the F, this is where things get a little bit more tricky. So what we have to do is flatten this 1st finger across 2 strings. So if you just do the 1st finger to begin with, so you push it down across C and F, so 2nd string 1st and 1st string 1st, and you should get that sound, which incidentally is, if you play like that, that is actually Smells Like Teen Spirit. So you know, if you can do that, you can play the verse of Smells Like Teen Spirit, which is a handy little extra. So, okay, but we've digressed. So we're holding those 2 notes there, and then we're going to add the other 2 again. So the middle finger to the 3rd string 2nd fret. So just try that one on your own first before adding the 3rd finger. So can you get all 3 of those notes nice and clear? Hopefully you can. If you can't, what tends to happen is as you push down with the 1st finger, well, you'll get the angle you need there, and then you push down with the middle finger, and what tends to happen is this one starts to lift off, and then you maybe get something like that, and you're not quite getting enough pressure through the 1st to the first string. But let me know how you're getting on. So it's this kind of, you got to push your index finger kind of that way whilst the middle finger's coming this way, and that's kind of the challenging aspect of this type of chord. So yeah, and then from there we're going to add the third finger to the 4th string 3rd fret for that F, and that basically compounds the problem because you're, you know, as this finger comes down, you're going to want to lift that first finger off even more, but you can't. You've got to try and keep it as flat as possible. So as I say, it's quite a tricky chord, but it's a very common chord, so definitely one you want to get to grips with. So a couple of things you can think about with it. I'm just going to move closer to the screen, so hopefully you can see this. So with over here. So with our first finger, what you've got to try to do is not bend at the first knuckle joint. If you do, you're going to struggle to get the pressure down because it's going to force your hand round like this, and then you're going to struggle to get these two fingers over. So what you're better off doing is trying to focus that you're not going to bend there, but you're going to bend at the next knuckle joint. So it's sort of, I don't know if you can see that, but it's sort of relatively flat across there rather than bending there. So if you can keep that flat, you've got a better chance of getting these two down and getting the clearance that you need to get the chord out. Okay, so that's one thing you can try. Another thing you could try is you could move the first finger a little bit. You only need to be on strings 1 and 2, but you could go over more than that. You could go over 3 strings if you wanted, because these fingers are then taking priority, because the string vibrates from here to down to the bridge. So the fact that you're pushing down here behind these ones makes no difference. So you could try that. The other thing is, you know, I think for me now, if I'm playing it, this first finger is relatively straight. Another thing you could try doing is to sort of rotate it a little bit so that the nail sort of points towards the headstock of the guitar, so it's kind of pointing that like away from you, and that can sometimes allow you to get a little bit more pressure through there, and that bend in the knuckle joint becomes perhaps less of an issue. I think for my playing, I would tend not to have the finger at that angle too often. It tends to go a bit flatter for me. I don't know if that's really just my hands. I don't think it is. I think it's once you've played it enough that it's okay. The other thing to think about is your thumb position. So like, where am I going? So for me, as I'm playing it, so this is a flamenco guitar, so it's got slightly wider neck than, for example, steel strung electric guitars. So if that's what you've got, your thumb might be a bit higher. But what you don't want is the thumb coming right up over the top, because again, you're just not getting your fingers into the right positions. So you want to try as best you can to just play about with all sorts of angles until you find like what works for you. So those are my suggestions. As I mentioned, F is a difficult chord, so we just have to do our best with it. So persevere and you will get there. But right, let's move on from that, and we'll have a look at number 4, All Heart. Now this one, we may not get through all this today looking at the time, but we're going to come, in fact, let me bring this up onto the screen so we can see this. So Roman numerals 4 there. That's telling us we're in the 4th position, and then we're going to move up to the 5th position here. So what we also want to do is recap the notes in the 5th position. I'll talk about the 4th position bit in just a second. So if you remember from GuitarQuest 3, we played these notes in the 5th position here. So we're going to just try running through that scale. That's a C major scale there. I'm just going to run that through together. I'll leave the notes up on the screen because I appreciate you probably haven't got GuitarQuest 3 in front of you. We'll do it once with that on the screen and once together when you can see my hands as well. Okay, so starting on the C, 3rd string, 5th fret. So we've got after 4, so 3, 4, So it's C at the 5th, D at the 7th, 2nd string 5th for the E, 2nd string 6th for the F, 8th fret for G, 1st string 5th for A, 1st string 7th for B, and then 1st string 8th for C. Okay, so if I just take that off there. Okay, so we're going to play that together. So starting on the C, 3rd string 5th. Okay, after 4, so 3, 4. So 5th fret, 7th, 5th fret, 6th, 8th, 5th, 7th, and 8th. Okay, I'm going to do it one more time. I'm just going to say the notes as we go. Okay, so 3, 4. So it's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. Okay, so the majority of the tune is going to be finding those notes in that position. Just having a look at it, but there are a couple of others. So we're also going to find A and G. So normally A is here and G is the open string. So 3rd string 2nd, 3rd string open. We can get those 4th string 7th and 4th string 5th. So 4th string 7th is your A, and then 4th string 5th fret is your G. Okay, so we want to watch out for those. Now there's a couple of other things that we want to just consider. Again, I'm just going to bring the music back up onto the screen here. So this bar here, you may notice, you might look at it and think, that's got a, it's not a full bar. So that, as explained here, is the anacrusis or pickup bar. So in a lot of music, it doesn't necessarily start on beat 1, it can start wherever it needs to. And so musically, you may see this written, that you just got a few notes at the start that don't make up a full bar, they're just there. So that's called our anacrusis or pickup bar, and then this is our first main bar here. So hence when you see here, that's the 3rd bar, because basically this little bit at the beginning we're ignoring. Okay, but we are in the 4th position here, so we need to have a think about this. So if you remember from our tuning, when we were tuning earlier, we said B was the 3rd string 4th fret. And again, we did cover this in GuitarQuest 3. We're not going to go back over that now. But what we're going to do is start on the B with our first finger, because 4th position means that's where our first finger is going to line up. So you've got the B, then we know C is at the 5th fret. We're going to use our middle finger this time. So B, C, back to B, and then we're going to get the A, which we just talked about, 4th string 7th fret, but with our pinky finger, because we're still in the 4th position. And then we've got A, G, A, still in the 4th position. So in terms of counting in, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and then we go. Okay, so I'll just demonstrate. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Okay, so it's B, C, B, B, C, B, A, G, A. Okay, so slightly new idea there. Hopefully it's making sense. And then after that, we move up to the 5th position. So this is the 2nd full bar. So we've gone from the A, then we just move our first finger up. So you just kind of allow the hand to compact a little bit. So because it would have landed at the 4th fret. So now we move up to the 5th. And then we can pick up those notes there. And you can, with the C to the E, you can bar across like we did with the F chord down here. So you put your first finger across 2 strings. In this case, we want to get the C and the E, which are on the 2nd and the 3rd strings. So we need to bar across those 2, which means you're probably going to bar across the 1st string as well. And that's fine. And barring is something that's really, really common in guitar playing. So don't think this is an unusual thing. If you find it difficult, don't worry about it. You will end up doing a lot of it as your playing progresses. So you might find your hand starts to ache a little bit as you practice. That's perfectly normal. I wouldn't worry too much. Just don't overdo it. Little bits of moderation. That's what's going to build the strength up. A bit like any kind of exercise that we do, really. So yeah, try on that 2nd full bar. Can you hold that first finger down to get the C. So that's 1, 2, and 3, and. So we can get the 2 E's there. And then you stretch your pinky finger up to the G. Ideally not letting go of the first finger. That might be too tricky at the moment. Don't worry if it is. If that lifts off, don't worry. But if you can hold it down, because we're going back to the E, it just makes sense to have that first finger there already. So so that's the sort of the logic we're going to approach this tune with. Okay. So we're kind of out of time, so I didn't get through very much of that actually, which I had hoped to. So we'll leave it there. So things to practice this week then. I would suggest you have a go. We'll keep going with our timing exercise that we did at the very start. We're trying different strings, different notes, the sort of crotchets, quavers, semiquavers idea. So do that, and park bench number 3, that would be the kind of the warm-up, and then I say the warm-up, that's pretty much the only thing we're going to be practicing. Ideally the first line of exercise 4, and also having a go at the F and the F-Major7 chords. Right, I'll finish up there. I've waffled on quite long enough, I think. So very best of luck with the practice this week. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week. So all the best for the practice and have a great weekend. See you soon. Bye bye.